Judge Brandon Hayes purchased a beautiful mountain home to enjoy peaceful weekends away from the city. Very few people in the HOA community knew that he served as a respected state court judge in the area. Shortly after moving in, Brandon began receiving complaints from HOA President Victoria Sterling regarding landscaping, exterior lighting, and private property improvements that fully complied with rules. Despite Brandon's polite cooperation, Victoria continued escalating minor disputes and publicly threatened legal action against him during HOA meetings. One evening, Brandon received an emergency phone call. The caller informed him that his mountain home had caught fire. Firefighters immediately responded to the scene and worked tirelessly to contain the blaze, preventing total destruction of the structure. Although the house suffered severe damage, investigators quickly secured the scene and began a formal investigation to determine the cause. Officials declined to speculate until all evidence was reviewed. During the investigation, security camera footage from nearby properties revealed suspicious activity occurring near the home shortly before the fire began. Investigators obtained solid witness statements. Several neighbors reported unusual activity on the evening of the incident. Every statement became part of the official investigation file. Attorney Harrison Blake advised Brandon to preserve all notices. Years of documented disputes suddenly became highly relevant. As the investigation continued, Brandon remained professional and allowed law enforcement and fire officials to perform their official duties. Months later, the investigation resulted in a civil lawsuit involving insurance claims, property damages, and allegations surrounding responsibility for fire. Victoria appeared very confident in court. Attorney Harrison Blake filed a civil lawsuit seeking full compensation for the extensive property damage and requested the court preserve all records. The case attracted attention across the community. The HOA board members were shocked when they learned investigators had requested copies of years of HOA emails, meeting minutes, and complaint notices involving Brandon's property during discovery. Fire Marshal Douglas Vance presented preliminary findings indicating that the fire did not appear to be accidental. Investigators continued examining all available evidence before reaching conclusions. Several neighbors voluntarily provided security camera footage showing activity near Brandon's property during the evening of the fire. Victoria publicly claimed that Brandon was exaggerating things. However, she declined multiple opportunities to discuss the matter through her attorney. Insurance investigators determined that Brandon's losses included structural damage and priceless heirlooms. The HOA's legal expenses continued increasing as board members questioned whether Victoria's personal conflict with Brandon had placed the entire association at severe financial risk going forward. During discovery proceedings, attorneys uncovered several HOA communications demonstrating Victoria's long-standing hostility toward Brandon's property improvements and past legal victories in court. Local residents organized a neighborhood fundraiser supporting Brandon as he began rebuilding his life following the devastating loss of his home. Months later, new construction plans were approved. Despite the ongoing litigation, Brandon remained focused on moving forward with professionalism and patience. Victoria remained confident that the lawsuit would fail, insisting accusations were false. The civil case was officially scheduled for trial. Legal experts anticipated weeks of testimony from investigators, insurance professionals, and property specialists before a final verdict was reached. On the morning of the trial, members of the HOA board arrived expecting an ordinary property damage case. Few knew that Brandon held one of the most respected judicial positions in the entire state. Although Brandon had properly recused himself from every legal matter involving his own case, news of his judicial career quickly spread. Victoria was visibly surprised when she learned all the truth. She realized she had spent years underestimating his legal knowledge and professionalism. The presiding judge reminded both parties that all decisions will be based solely upon evidence presented today. Fire investigators testified regarding their findings, while insurance experts detailed the full extent of Brandon's documented property losses. The courtroom remained completely silent throughout this Security footage, witness testimony, and official reports were introduced as evidence according to standard courtroom procedures. Attorneys carefully and thoroughly questioned every single witness. Several HOA board members testified that they had repeatedly advised Victoria to resolve her disagreements with Brandon peacefully. As closing arguments concluded, the courtroom reflected on the case. Months after proceedings, Brandon's new luxury mountain home stood proudly upon a rebuilt property. The difficult chapter of his life had finally come to an end as justice prevailed in full glory today.